So I was in Taiwan recently, and I got obsessed with how everything there seems to have its own cute cartoon mascots. Like the metro has a few mascots, and the airport train has a different set of mascots, Taipei 101 has a bunch of really weird mascots. Everyone's got mascots. And I was about to start my Kickstarter for the Blades of Gixa, my Dungeon 23 mega dungeon. So, I wanted my own cute mascot. So this is Tino, the kobold adventurer. Tino's not a character in the module exactly, but kobolds are one of the first groups you're likely to meet in the dungeon's upper levels, and I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to draw a little lizard guy. So at this stage I'm trying to figure out an overall style, initially thinking that since the actual mega dungeon art is pretty rough line art, Tino should be too. But then I try to introduce some shading, make him a little more eye-catching. Maybe the clean look of the cartoon mascots I saw in Taipei was still in my head. But I wound up cleaning up the line art, adding some blocky shadows, making some little adjustments, and getting a little more detail in there. I'm trying to have this be the fully decked out version of the mascot, geared up for adventure with all the campaign rewards. The posters should definitely be bigger, and he's got the notebook coming out of the tote there. And to help him really feel like a fully equipped adventurer, the backpack gets some extra gear, which I like the look of, but then I decide to make even more work for myself and color everything. First with solid colors, and then adding secondaries for shading, coloring in the notebook and posters. Adding some white highlights, and then refining and cleaning up the details. This is all before I thought to add a hat to the campaign, so no hat here. And there he is, Tino. So then I thought, well, since Kickstarter now lets you add a key image to each tier of the campaign, I should probably make a bunch more work for myself and draw a version of Tino for every single tier. So this is the actual top tier version of Tino, with the book and poster. I moved the bag from being its own tier to being an add-on, because the bag felt like more of a niche item, and it just felt more appropriate to keep the core tiers focused on the book and posters. And here you can see me just sketching out some shapes and lines on the notebook and posters to imply the actual Mega Dungeon art, which is rather intricate. And then some more stuff for the backpack. And colors. I'm using the same color palette throughout, though he does have different clothes on in each drawing. I sort of imagine each one as a different stage of his adventuring career. And there he is, snazzy and accomplished. Next up, posters Pilgrim Tino. I feel like he's especially cute when he's looking at you head on like this. Refining the line art here, doing some shading, getting some more detail, cleaning up the lines and getting the line weight a bit more consistent across the drawing. I feel like he just found the posters here and he's very excited about them, showing them off. Of course, this means that you can see what's on the posters, which means I really need to give you a sense of the detail and density you can expect on them, which means a lot of drawing little shapes and lines, all the while trying to keep them more or less aligned with the edges and following the curvature of the posters. Which you can see here I mess up and need to erase and rework some of the right poster to correct. I get there eventually. And then on to colors, with a pretty bold outfit on Tino here. And the posters get a nice, bright, colorful treatment. And with that, this whole drawing ends up being a little loud, so I experiment with some different colors for the shirt, eventually landing on something more subdued, so the focus stays on the posters. I use previous drawings as reference to keep the proportions consistent. This is for the notebook tier. I thought it'd be fun to give Tino a torch, so he could be reading the notebook by torchlight. And here I just refine the lines, adjust them, clean them up, and add in big block shadows, which are more or less using the torch as a directional light source. A cool little fancy tunic neckline there, and some stark black shadow for the cover of the notebook, which will get inverted shapes and lines detail, and then the simple color scheme we've seen before. Some yellows and oranges for the flame, and the bright book colors to finish it off. Okay, this is for the Digital Delver tier, which is for the PDFs of the book and posters, and as you can see, I went for a stylized, pixelated version of Tino, as if he were in an old-school dungeon delving video game. I didn't draw this on a grid, so I wound up warping and redrawing it a bunch to get the pixels looking roughly square. My limited, flat color scheme served me well here, And this is the most basic rewards tier, so Tino is the least equipped. He's got no backpack, but he has a torch at least. And then the final drawing, the Stalwart Supporter. This is the $1 tier for people who just want to show some support for the project or get updates or whatever. So it's Tino at his most unassuming, just holding up a gold coin as a sign of support, and wearing a simple long tunic and belt. He's not totally unequipped though, he's got a little dagger tucked in there. Here you can see I also experimented with coloring the line art, as well as going back to stippled black and white shading, but I eventually just kept the black line art with colors. And there he is. What a cute little guy. So if you pop over to paradiso.000/Gixa, you can get the book and posters of the Blades of Gixa, the project Tino is the mascot of. It's cool and weird. Thanks to all the Kickstarter backers for helping make this happen. And thanks to these folks, the members of Paradiso at paradiso.zone and on YouTube, whose ongoing support makes all of this possible.